Welcome to Postscript. Here we hope to answer your questions and help you dig deeper into the messages and sermons at Faithbridge by talking with the teacher of the day.
Hello and welcome to Postscript. My name is Adam McIntire and I'm joined today by Pastor Ken Werlein, who just finished preaching a sermon on the ultimate oxymoron, cynical Christians. Pastor Ken, thank you so much for being here today. Now, in your sermon, towards the very beginning, you said that cynicism and Christianity, they don't really mix all that well. In fact, because Christians have the ultimate hope of Jesus, we really shouldn't ever fall prey to cynicism. But what about people who they might be struggling with things like depression or anxiety, and they just maybe they have a hard time revving themselves up to be the happy-go-lucky, joyful person that we all expect Christians to be,
or wish that we could always be.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's a great word and a great question. So let's say several things. First, I think it's important for us to know that even those of us who have generally cup half full outlooks, not cup half empty outlooks, can fall prey to bouts of discouragement and depression. I think of in the Old Testament how Elijah, right after he had that great miraculous victory over the gods of Baal, and you would have thought he'd just been clicking his heels, and there he sits, discouraged and depressed. And so it can happen to any of us. Now, that said, I do believe that there are some of us who are extra prone to depression, and if that's what we're talking about, then I'm always quick to encourage. Let's get a doctor involved as well. Several of us, Pastor Dan and I, are very open about the fact that we both take medication for depression, for anxiety. It's the same medication. It's sort of flip sides of the same coin. And so if that's what we're talking about, I think we don't want to just try to treat things that can be physical and neurological as only spiritual. Now, let's move from that category to just the run-of-the-mill person who says, well, no, I don't think I have any imbalances, chemically, or the doctor says I don't really need this. I think we have to give ourselves some grace and know that in certain times we're going to just have a low period. We're going to have a low day, a low week. But this is one of the benefits of being part of a vibrant church, of having a vibrant small group community where you can link arms with brothers and sisters and be bolstered by their faith and sometimes depend upon their faith when you don't have enough faith. And where you can just say, I got to lean on your faith because right now I'm not feeling much faith. So I think community is a very important part of the solution. And just re-gospeling ourselves, going back to the overall big picture. This world has always been the Titanic. And usually in moments of discouragement and depression, we've just gotten in touch with that reality again. And it's shocking again. And we're discouraged and utterly frustrated. And it's all we can do is look at the problem instead of panning back and remembering, wait. We're gospel people. This world was always a cracked ship. It was always going down ever since the fall of man. And this is why we have Jesus. It's for this I have Jesus. And we keep going back and we keep gospeling ourselves and reminding ourselves of that. And we just kind of push through one day at a time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's incredibly helpful. And I think the key to a lot of that is just being really honest with yourself too. A lot of times we try to just shoulder it and pretend like it's not.
So pretend.
Right. Pretend like we're not way down.
And you know, pretending can actually exacerbate your depression, because pretending takes a lot of energy. I think of a time when I was back at the church in the Woodlands years ago as an assistant pastor, and they needed me for the VBS, and I had to be Lazarus. Like 7 sessions that day. We did the same drama and they wrapped me up in toilet paper, and I had to come out of the tomb, and you know, and I remember that night I was exhausted, and I thought I didn't do any work. I just got up out of it, walked out with toilet paper all over me. But I was exhausted. But I think the point is, pretending can lead to exhaustion, and exhaustion just predisposes us to depression all the more. So, yeah, let's not be pretenders. Let's get to community. Let's be real. Shoulder it with brothers and sisters of like heart and mind with Jesus.
Yeah, being honest with God, being honest with our community, and like you said, re-gospeling ourselves, reminding ourselves of the gospel as often as possible. Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you. And then for those of us who we heard your message of challenge to go out and be the salt and light in a world that is dark and has lost its flavor, and so we're on board. We want to do that, but maybe practically we don't quite know what that looks like.
Where do I do it tomorrow morning?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Help us out.
Sure. Well, this is the art, probably more than science, of gospel living. I think, for my sake, 2 things are distillable: our actions and our words. Let's start with the actions. I think if we really are saying, Lord, my soul is full with you, and I want other people's souls to be full with you, we start by looking for, low-hanging fruit in ways that we could actively jump into a situation and serve, roll up our sleeves, help, contribute, make a difference, which will make other people go, why did you just do that? You didn't have to. They didn't pay you to do that. Oh, I know. But since you ask, let me tell you why. And, because I'm living for a higher purpose, a higher cause, a deeper reason than just earning a paycheck, or, and so we're looking for ways that we can jump in and serve and help, and that's our actions. But if we don't look for them, they'll pass us by over and over, day by day, and we can go weeks and months and years, and there's nothing distinct and different about us. And so we have to actively, I could jump into that situation, and I could actually, make this contribution or go above and beyond, and that's just a way that I could let my light shine. Right. Then our words. Well, like then the story that I told of the van coming back to the office. I got halfway into the conversation, and I remember distinctly thinking, okay, at this point, you could pull out and just end it and get back to your office and say, thank you very much for the ride. Or you could keep in mind the fact this man's on the Titanic. He doesn't know it. Is that really what you want to do? And so I actively decided to toss out another question that I thought might be able to lead the conversation in a spiritual direction, and it did. And sometimes it just won't go there, and you can't contrive that. But sometimes if you just will be strategic and intentional about asking maybe one well-placed question that can move a person to start to think about spiritual things, and then you can begin to apply the gospel and explain the uniqueness of our Christian faith.
Absolutely. So it's about kind of adopting that kingdom vision of which takes a lot of intentionality and I think practice a little bit sometimes too.
Sure.
Of you have to train yourself to see those opportunities,
Sure.
see those opportunities in the world.
Absolutely.
But once you do, I'm reminded of 1 John 4:12. No one's ever seen God, but when we love each other, God's love is brought to full expression in us, and that's when people see Jesus in us, when we go out and love them that way.
Amen. Amen to that. And maybe along those lines, I would add one other thing that maybe precedes the two that I just said. But praying actively, just put it on your prayer list and just say, Lord, give me today an opportunity to serve or to share the light of Christ, the salt, to be the salt. And you pray about that. And you just turn your focus up 5 degrees from where it is, and you will begin to see them.
Absolutely.
And just that much, and you'll begin to see them. And if you seize them, it becomes much more normal.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Well, Pastor Ken, thank you so much. This was incredibly helpful. And thank you all for tuning in. We will see y'all next week.
Thanks for joining us for Postscript. Help us keep the podcast interactive by submitting your questions during the morning services. Learn more at faithbridge.org/postscript.